Hello, my name is Mike Florin, and I'm the owner of Low Cost Mortgage. Today's your weekly update for the first week of January in 2024. Well, 2023 was fun, wasn't it? It was quite interesting. For us on our end, we did pretty good for 2023. Right now, it's looking like we should be able to trend a bit better in 2024 than 23. But we're doing things a little bit different than everyone else. That's kind of what I wanted to talk about briefly a little bit later in the video. For right now, though, remember when we talked about a few months ago, November and December, January tend to have lower rates, and it tends to go back up in January, February. Don't let it be a surprise if February rates really tick up a bit. But this is kind of a weird year. It's an election year. You've got the Fed, who's probably not going to increase rates. Maybe they're going to lower it. Maybe it just depends on the data or how people's reactions are to news. Maybe just kind of depends. We don't really know what's going to happen in 2024, but there's a lot of downward pressure on rates from the election and some other things. There's also some upward pressure too, which is, I want to say, fear-mongering in different YouTube outlets or news outlets and whatnot. And I don't want to call it fear-mongering as much as exploring different avenues of what possibly might happen. So what's going to happen with the rates? We don't really know. Maybe they stay the same, maybe they go down, maybe they go up. And if anyone tells you they know what's going on, they don't. They really don't. The mortgage markets are really big, but I want to show you this chart. It's over here on my left. I'm going to blow it up real quick here. This is kind of the year in review of the 10-year Treasury. Now, mortgage rates tend to follow the 10-year Treasury, generalistically speaking. So the 10-year Treasury goes up a little bit, and then you'll see mortgage rates tend to go up and down and then down. And are they one-to-one? No, they're not. But they tend to be heavily correlated. Correlated means if one goes up, the other one tends to go up, and if it goes down, the other one tends to go down. That's what correlated is. But with that being said, you're going to have downward pressure from the election and a few other things, and you're going to have upward pressure from fear of bad things happening. It just kind of depends there. And also supply and demand of cash. The more supply of cash in MBS and less demand, rates come down. More demand on cash, less supply, rates go up. I mean, mortgage markets are very similar to gasoline, right? Supply and demand. How much people want to buy gas versus how much gas is there. How many people want to buy or finance a loan or new money versus how much money's out there. They're really similar. Now, we're going to expect rates to go up. That's just what we're going to expect to see, right? Right now, government is middle, low fives. It depends on your scenario. Middle to low fives. Conventionals, low sixes-ish, depending on your scenario too. Yesterday was a little bit better than rates today, and we were able to lock loans. I don't want to give numbers because the regulation is so strict on it, but they were pretty good. So conventional, super high fives with a little bit of money, and then on government, really low fives was possible too, and we were there too with, again, a little bit of money. Check the email out, and that's going to be those scenarios that we run specifically. But those scenarios, we're just doing a 740 FICO. We're going super vanilla, 400 loan amount, 740 FICO. Roughly, what does that look like? There are better deals out there that we have, and there's worse deals too, and it just depends. Now, we do have over my right shoulder here, I'm going to pop it up, the ability to search rates. Please, realtors, your clients, everybody, go search the rates. Now, this is what I did with that search tool. I took the rates that the system pops out, and I kind of overestimated a little bit. So if you see, I think right now, you search for government, 740 FICO, VA, you're at 5.7, getting $1,200 back. Again, look it up, right? And then right at middle 5, costing some money. That's rounded up. So the actual one that we actually see is 5.5 costing nothing and 5.3 costing a little bit of money. So why do I do that? I want people to be able to service themselves. I want people to be able to leverage themselves out to get quick answers, because that's one of the ways that we actually become very efficient. Each and every one of us can quickly find an answer to something, so we can quickly give the answer to a borrower, so we can solve problems 2 or 3 days into a loan instead of 20 or 30 days into a loan. And that's key for being really good in mortgage lending. Well, one of those tools is kind of knowing where you're going to be at for an interest rate for a scenario. That's why I have this tool right here, so you and your borrowers can search. But take into consideration that the deal you actually get is probably going to be a little bit lower than that day by day, because I round everything up for compliance purposes. Now here's another reason that we're cheap. We don't get fined by state regulatory agencies because we're doing things in a non-compliant manner. We're overly compliant. And the only way that you can actually post a search tool that searches interest rates and do it compliantly is to make sure that you can perform the rate that somebody shows. And how do you do that? If the rate's showing 5.5, then you have the system rounded up to 5.6. And if the system is showing 6.1, you have it rounded up to 6.2. Why? To be conservative. Because if we're conservative on the rates that you see, then there's probably not going to be a problem. Which means when you're searching rates, look at it and know this is what I want to plan on in kind of a worst case scenario. If it shows 6.5 or 6.7, or if it shows 5.2 or 5.3 or 5.5, whatever that search tool shows, that's a live feed into the investors that we have. That brings the other point too. It's available 24 hours a day. The investors are really only available from 9 a.m. to about 5 p.m. Some of them are later, some of them are earlier. So if you really want good data when you're using the search tool, do it right about noon, 1 o'clock, somewhere in the afternoon. You're going to get really good information out of it. If you do it at 2 in the morning, it's going to really round up and it's going to do some things that are there to protect us, to make sure that we don't show somebody a rate that is unobtainable, right? All right, so realtors, real quick, okay? We've seen some realtors that are doing really good in 2023. We're not really good. They're doing better than they thought in 2023. But at the same time, there's quite a few realtors that are not. 22, 21 was definitely a good point for realtors for sales. But going into 21 and 22, when we were at 2020, everyone thought real estate was going to collapse and everybody would be out of a job, not knowing that within a few months, they were hitting the busiest months of their life. With that being said, there's a really good book out there. It's called Who Moved My Cheese? And hopefully quite a few of you have read that book. And if not, you should probably grab that book and give it a quick read. It's about this big. It's a really good book. But the premise of the book is really simple. If you're somewhere and you're making money doing something, and then it doesn't work or it starts to change, what do? Go find your cheese somewhere else. Your cheese is moved. Somebody moved it. It went somewhere else. Go find where it is. And the most important part about real estate, remember, I used to be a realtor. And I did a decent amount of volume, not the tippy top volume. I wasn't the top producer, but I did a lot more than the average realtor did for the time. It really is, it boils down to everybody can write contracts, negotiate contracts. That's easy. You just sit down and read and you figure that part out. Showing houses is fairly simple too. And I got it down where I could show 5 houses and get somebody to write an offer because the market was different then. You had to show a borrower several houses to get them to want to put an offer in on a house, right? So it was a little different. It was more of a buyer's market then too. Similar to kind of what it is now, but definitely not in the last few years. But there was something profound. So the first year when I was selling real estate, I didn't do very well. Didn't do very well at all. In fact, it sucked. It was really bad. The second year I did extremely well. Well, I changed offices, I changed environment, and I figured out how to make it work. And in all reality, in real estate, and I'm not telling you how to do your job. I just know what worked for me when I was selling real estate, and I know what's working for several realtors. And I work with about 300 realtors nationwide. What's working is the realtors that constantly focus on marketing, the ones that are constantly looking at doing, finding the next deal. Where's my next deal? Where's my next deal? Where's my next deal? Those are the realtors that are still doing good volume. Those are the ones that are actually doing a lot of deals. And there's some realtors here in Colorado Springs where in the last 3 or 4 months, we've done like 4 or 5 loans for. The business is there, and we're not doing all their loans either. So the business is there. You just got to go look for it. But at the same time, if what you're doing marketing-wise isn't working, change it. Go do something else. Figure something else out. Don't spend money doing something else, but go figure out where to market. Because the hardest part of real estate sales and mortgage lending, it's not doing the loans. It's not selling the home. The hardest part is finding the people to use you to buy the house, to use us to do a loan. Well, that's part of the reason why we're cheap. Makes it easy. Hey, guys, look, we're cheap. Use us. We're good. We're fast. We're cheap. That's it. And I think that's the winning formula for mortgage lending. For real estate, good, fast, and cheap isn't really the formula for selling real estate. So, but that's up to you to figure out for yourself. But anyways, Mike Florin, have a great weekend. I might edit this, who knows. But anyways, have a great weekend. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.